Hello, welcome back to my channel. I actually spent today doing a pet food food distribution. So my voice is a little scratchy. I ended up talking over a lot of vehicles. Oh my goodness. So I got my coffee here with my lovely sweater mug, the cabled mug. So I'm in theme for the fall. I've been making hats. This is the ones I finished so far this week. Yay, hats. This is probably my favorite. But so getting into the fall season, these are the hats for the crochet and knit hat donation that we're trying to get 300 hats together by a certain date in November so that they can all go to school kids. So all that's going on. But what you really want to know, if you're watching this video, possibly, is what my nonfiction NetGalley arcs are that I'm looking forward to for November, for NetGalley November. We have less than 24 hours left, although technically for me it is the 30th. So for me, it won't be November till more than 24 hours from now, anyway. But NetGalley November kicks off tomorrow because the host, Nicole, at Dusty Book Sniffers, is in Australia. So it is the first over there tomorrow for them. So yay, that'll be fun. But yeah, so I actually got disgustingly sick on Sunday, and I was going to do this video and probably a couple others between Sunday and today. And yeah, that did not happen. I got well enough to go back to work by Tuesday and did my normal shifts Tuesday and today, and I'll do another one tomorrow, but I didn't want to push myself, and I certainly was not making videos on Sunday. So these things happen. But while I was not making videos, I was getting more arcs. So I have 25 new ones that I didn't have last week when I last made a video. Just they show up. I might have a couple more than that because I think I opened a couple. But I have 25 that I haven't processed into my collection yet that are still in the get started column. Yeah, some of which are nonfiction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk through some of my nonfiction arcs and, tell you what I thought was cool about some of them and, which ones I'm really looking forward to and go from there. So the ones I just got, I'm pretty sure To Catch a Fascist is nonfiction. Let's pull this one up. To Catch a Fascist, The Fight to Expose the Radical Right by Christopher Matthias. This one is looking at the rise of white nationalism and neo-Nazi movements in the United States. And it looks pretty interesting and very current. This is stuff that we're dealing with a lot. I know we're not the only country that's dealing with it. So that one looks interesting. Let's see if this one is fiction. No, that one's thriller. We'll get to thrillers later. We have The Story of Capital by David Harvey. This one is econ theory, but for lay readers, it looks like. I have read all 3 volumes of Capital by Karl Marx, but it is tedious. So I have read it all. I did, and I do understand the engine that is capitalism the way Marx explains it in his first volume. So I got that, and I grumbled at the book as I read it, and yeah. But I'm curious to see what David Harvey does with Capital. And I got Chaos, Creativity, Completion. This one is edited by Chloe Martinez and Lisa Van Orman Hadley. It's new approaches to writing and the ADHD. I am probably autism and ADHD. It certainly fits my experience of things. So I'm going to go with that as a probable diagnosis. So I'm curious about this one. It's 15 essays by different authors. So a variety of viewpoints on that. I've got The First Female Fossil Hunter by Jason Kowinski. The Life and Legacy of Mary Anning, which looks really interesting. This was one I made a wish for. As I've mentioned in previous videos, not all history is like available where you hit request and then go through the normal process. A lot of it is something where you click make a wish. Don't be afraid to do that. Not everybody reads history. I don't know what the pricing looks like on the NetGalley publisher pages, but I suspect that deciding to make it something where you make a wish versus requesting and all that may have something to do with pricing, like how many copies you give out kind of thing. So I don't know what exactly it is, but I have noticed a trend. Those ones are literary fiction. Edward IV's Fatal Legacy by Hazel Pierce is another one. These are all just in the ones I just got, like in the last week. The Restoration and Ruin of the Courtenays, 1479 to 1558. I've been really interested in this period anyway, and there were several. This one also I made a wish for and got it. But several branches of my family came to the U.S. from Britain in the 1600s, early 1600s. So the part of British history where my relatives would have been there would be pre 1620. So I'm always interested in that stuff. And then I have Resisting Nazism by Luke Berryman. So another very current sort of thing. And then The Green Sahara by John Gaudet. I should know who John Gaudet is. That name seems so familiar, but it must have been a while since I last encountered anything with him involved. But this one is Regaining Paradise in the Face of Climate Change. It's about greening the Sahara. There is a greening project in, I think, Jordan, where they took a lot of very dead land where it was salt and rock and basically nothing else was there, and turned it into this amazing lush garden without throwing a ton of water on it. So I'm always fascinated by projects that can do that. I got Kimonos by Rinko Kimino. This one is a history and kind of all about kimonos. And I found that one really interesting, so I'm looking forward to it. And then the rest of those are fiction. Let's get into my give feedback column. And I'm not going to read off every nonfiction I have in here, just the ones that are exciting enough to read them out. I was thrilled that I got Reframing Women Printmakers by P.L. Henderson. I did printmaking. That was my focus when I was in art school. So I'm interested in women printmakers because it is one of those fields in art where being able to lift things comes into play more, especially if you're doing lithography, which you're doing on big slabs of rock, and they are heavy. So women being generally weaker in the upper body, it is tricky for women to get into printmaking in that branch. But there are branches of printmaking that are not so muscle involved. And I really do like intaglio, if anyone's done printmaking before. I like viscosity printing with intaglio on zinc plates, and I've done it with soy ink, but so far the inks I like are just the standard petroleum based. It's been a while, but I want to get back into that. And then we have that one's short stories. We'll get to short stories. The Culting of America, What Makes a Cult and Why We Love Them, by Daniela Mestianek-Young and Amy Reed. Ignorance by George G. Zapiro. Let's see what this one's about, because I remember it looked interesting. Okay, what we do not know, cannot know, must not know, and refuse to know. I have no idea beyond that. It looked interesting. Let's see. Does the lack of evidence mean that aliens don't exist? Why does an unproven mathematical hypothesis have profound consequences? And are humans capable of grasping the nature of divinity? And so many other things. It just looks like a really interesting nonfiction. More philosophy than anything else, it feels like. Like applied philosophy, maybe. I got probably more that I'm not recognizing. A History of Punk. This one just archived like a month ago. So I have time on it. And it's one to watch for. I've read a chapter so far, but this is one I need to get back to. A History of Punk by Stephen Palmer. I was a music blogger for 3 years. So every once in a while I like to read some art history or music history. And that's a new one coming out that looked really good. University by Lee C. Bollinger. This one says University, A Reckoning. From perhaps the most important university leader of the 21st century, an account of the university in the age of authoritarianism, and a new case for its place in the American system. So, political science, which was my master's. Let's see. Let's go on to the next page. For people curious about how many pages of ARCs I have, let's get to the last one here. I have 18 pages of ARCs in my give feedback column, in case anyone is interested. Let's see. I thought about putting these in a folder, and that didn't happen. Out of Gaza by Katharina Galor. That one looks good. That one archived on the 31st of August, so it's also one to watch for. Probably is on Kindle Unlimited. I've seen other people that have it and haven't read it yet, so I'm sure I'm not the only one that'll be reading it in November. I think The First 1,000 Trees is literature. Yeah, that one is a novel by Premi Mohammed. Okay, so that one is not nonfiction. The Far Edges of the Known World. Are you nonfiction? Yes. Far Edges of the Known World, Life Beyond the Borders of Ancient Civilization. This is one that's already archived, and I will be finishing it hopefully in November. I am going to try and get caught up to where the ones that are archived are done. Yeah, right. But we're going to try. It's going to happen. Let's see. I've got... I know I have more history. Artificial Wisdom might be. I think this one might be about AI. No, that's a novel. Maybe it's still about AI, though. George Washington and the Creation of the American Republic. That one's definitely nonfiction. By William M. Fowler. Early American History. Definitely one I'm interested in. A Bunker in Kiev by John Lyons. I followed the Ukraine war very closely for the first 8 months it was going on. It is still going on as we speak, but yeah, I had to eventually focus on other things. So I check in every once in a while. But that one should be good. Then we've got lots of short stuff. I do have one that's like a short story collection, but that's nonfiction. I have The Best American Science and Nature Writing 2025, edited by Susan Orlean and Jamie Green. So I do have one that's like short stuff that I can read a bit at a time between other things, which I definitely will be doing. We've got Washington's Lieutenants by Douglas M. Branson. Another history for early American history. I think The Hustle is nonfiction. A Korean Family's Escape from the Margins. 3 Generations of Work and Resilience by Eun-Jin Kang. This one's also been archived only recently. This one archived a couple weeks ago, it looks like. But yeah, it is archived at this point. It looks really good though. That one I want to actually finish in November. Let's see. That one isn't nonfiction. Yeah, I know I have more nonfiction. There's one I need to read, but it's not nonfiction. Philosophy of War by Frederick Gross. I think The Legend of Wyatt Outlaw is nonfiction. Yeah. From Reconstruction through Black Lives Matter. So that one is race conflict history. Maybe. Non-coercive threats to academia, political, and economic freedom, or to academic, political, and economic freedom. So, political theory, more, maybe. Those are probably fiction. Some of what I've got maybe memoirs, and they look like novels. Because those sometimes look similar from the list. Let's see. The War Correspondence might be nonfiction. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, The War Correspondence. The incredible stories of the brave men and women who covered the fight against Hitler's Germany. So, that one should be fun. That one has just archived. Yeah. It still has 52 days remaining. So it archived 2 days ago. That one should be good. Dictating Reality might be. Let me see. The Global Battle to Control the News. So that one is politics and news. should be really good. You can kind of see a theme: history, political science, stuff about society, so sociology, applied philosophy. I've got more than enough to keep me busy for a while. Yeah, so far I've been listing off all of them in each page. So I guess maybe I am telling you all of my nonfiction arcs. That works. The Race for Elizabeth I's Throne. So that one could be fun. I'm going to pull this one up and see what else it says. This one is archived. Let's see. As the childless Elizabeth I lay on her deathbed, discussions over who would succeed her as ruler of England raged on among her advisors. The succession was hotly debated throughout her reign, and despite having no direct heir, the Queen refused to name her successor over safety concerns. Basically, worrying that they would bump off whoever she picked. Which is not exactly unlikely. That might have happened. Life Before the War. Britain in the later 1930s. This one's also archived. So again, watch for it. It might be really good. Yeah, it has all sorts of really cool pictures on the cover, at least on this edition. So that's why I picked it. I was like, ooh, that's a cool cover. There we go. So let's see. How to Survive in Georgian Britain. I think that's a series, the How to Survive in different places and times. I think that one is... Yes, The Gales of November, The Untold Story of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So this is a shipwreck story, I think. By John U. Bacon. That would be a weird name to have. U. Bacon? Yeah. Doctor's Riot of 1788 by Andy McPhee. Looks really good. I've got the Ultimate Origami Challenge kit for kids ages 8 to 12. I still have that one from Kooky that I didn't get to. I also, somewhere in here, have one for making dog hats. That one I'm going to have to get to so I can crochet some dog hats. It will happen. And see if I can put them on my cats. The Rude Guide to Being a Better Writer by David J. Hales. The Hitler Years by Frank McDonough. So the Hitler Years is still available if you like history. This is one you could request still. It archives the 6th of November. So it's coming up. That one's a murder mystery. Historical, but murder mystery. Living in the Third Reich by Dr. Patrick Labriola. And let's see if we get to the dog hats. Do Aliens Speak Physics by Daniel Whiteson and Andy Warner. A little bit of science and humor. I want to know, do aliens speak physics? When we send those things out into space, with all the, trying to communicate to aliens by doing equations and stuff on gold plates, that is a good question. Do they know what the heck that is? They might. They might not. And we have Catherine of Aragon. I think that's a biography by Carol Ann Johnson. Zealous, A Darker Side of the Early Quakers by Erica Canella. Killing Monarchs by Richard Heath, about monarchs being murdered. Let me pull that one up. That one's archived 2 weeks ago. And this one, They're looking at a bunch of different monarchs that were killed, mostly in England and Scotland, and kind of what led up to it and how it worked and all that kind of stuff. The Crimes That Inspired Agatha Christie by Dr. Annalena Berg and Dr. Jonathan Oates. That one looks really good. A New Way of Seeing by Dominique Side, I believe is nonfiction. From Knowledge to Insight. Yeah, so that's more psychology. Maybe cognitive psych? We'll find out. Usually I request things in batches, so they tend to clump up like that. I think that one's a novel. The Secret War Between Hitler and Stalin by Norman Ridley. That really made a difference in world history because that's part of like why people did or didn't ally during parts of history is conflicts like that. So I'm curious anyway. I will know more when I read it. Yes. And that might be almost it. I know, this is such an upbeat video. Whee! I have the one about the dog hats, which I should be getting to. So my plan is actually going to be to just read as many arcs as I can. And also read some print books and read some other stuff. Here's a cool one that hasn't archived yet. War is Hell, The Rise of Total War from Napoleon to the Present by Daniel E. Long. It archives on the 25th of November, so this one will be available for a while. Then All Hell Broke Loose by Dennis Fisher. This one is the Odyssey of a Marine Corps photographer in Vietnam. I have a thing about journalists' accounts of things because they see more sides than some of the other people that write accounts. And they're actually there, not historians later. The Oldest Rocks on Earth by Simon Lamb. A little bit of geology. I haven't read a proper geology book in a while. The Search for the Origins of Our World. That one looks really good. And that one archives in April of next year. So if you are interested in sciencey stuff, The Oldest Rocks on Earth by Simon Lamb is one that you could request, and you have quite a lot of time. It publishes in January, so that one's one that you don't have to get to immediately. Let's see. That one's so far still fiction. I was like, George Orwell's Animal Farm. No, that one is actually still fiction. It's just very appropriate. Here we go. Suki and Ivy crochet cute dog hats. Yeah, I'm going to be making some hats for my cats in November. And that's probably about it besides memoirs that I don't recognize because they look like novels. So that's kind of my my nonfiction TBR. And there's going to be reason during NetGalley November to have nonfiction on hand. So you want to think about it at least. Yeah. And I will be browsing for more. Hopefully I'll find a few more that are in the science end, because I do like reading those, but they're usually more history and politics and sociology. I do love reading that stuff too, but I like a blend. I'm not as much, though, into the biographies of like musicians. So I've read a few. I've read 2 different David Bowie biographies and a few others, but I'm not really that into them. It was more fun when I was a music blogger because I sometimes would meet people that I'd heard about in books. But right now I'm not doing that lifestyle. Maybe I'll get back to it. I want to. If I make it to Boulder, then that is on my agenda. I want to get back to music blogging. But for now, I'm sticking to things like a history of punk. But yeah, if I come across any other great nonfiction, I will talk about it. So that wasn't so bad, actually. 30 minutes? Yeah, that could have been a lot more painful. I'm going to do a separate video for like literary fiction, books that I picked because maybe they might be on prize lists. I try to read the books on the Dublin Literary Award long list. It's long, and because it's based on British publication dates, a lot of the books aren't available here yet. So the more books I can get read before they hit the prize lists, the better chance I have of not needing to find 70 books from British publication dates to read the Dublin Literary Award long list. I'm definitely going to take a while to get to being the person that they'll send books to in that volume. It would be so cool. I doubt if anybody actually gets all the books from the long list for that list. But there are people that get sent the actual physical books for the shorter long lists. Maybe I can get to that at least. A girl can dream, right? So I actually started putting together little lists. If you've seen Nicole's TBR video, she makes lists. And I've started a little bit. It's a little clunky because you can't just go down the list and add them all to the different groupings that you want. You have to go into each one. It's a bit tedious. But I did make one for one-word titles. This is a bingo board prompt for the readathon. So I have a few that looked good. Restitution by Tamar Shapiro, archives mid-November, like November 20th. So that one has some time. Becalming by Aga Masamowska. That one doesn't actually have an archive date yet, and it doesn't come out till May. So that one has some time. Transcription by Ben Lerner. Ben Lerner is, I think, on the Boxall list. I think he wrote one of the ones that was the most recent ad on the Boxall list. 1004 or something. So since he's been on a list that I know of, he's one that I figure I should read because you never know. He might get nominated for stuff. Threadbound by M.E. Moirin. No idea if that's how they pronounce their name, but it's Moirin, so Moirin works for me. Questioner by Steve C. Posner. No idea if it's any good. It's a red cover, which might be useful for things. Might be... Well, I'm not sure what it is just from the cover. I try to go in blind a little bit. I'm going to try and stay that way on some of these. But it looked interesting. Swallowtail by Emily Ross. EXO by Colin Brush. That one archives November 17. Questioner's already archived, but some people might have it already. Swallowtail archives in February, so you have some time. Transcription archives in May, so you have a lot of time on that one. Threadbound is already archived, but you might have it. Tangerine by Emanuela Anachum. And I don't know where they put the accent on their last name, so we're just going to go with it. That one is, I think her parents are Moroccan refugees. Her parents are refugees, though, I think, because I looked it up the other night. That one looks really good. It archives in January, so you have plenty of time. Motus by P.A. Kramer has archived a couple weeks ago. Alice by Judith Herman archives in March. And Bittersweet by Thalia Ho archives in April. I have a lot more one-word titles, but those are just some that I managed to put in a list that looked interesting that I have and will try to get to. And I did blue covers too, and discovered that a lot of my blue covers are about to archive. Call Me Ishmaela looked interesting by Xiaolu Guo. It archives in January. It's by a woman, I believe. I don't remember if Xiaolu Guo is a woman or a man. It probably is a woman, though, because it's a feminist retelling of Moby Dick. Probably a woman writer, which means it might be a candidate for awards. Certainly a retelling of Moby Dick could be a candidate for awards. So that one looks good. Every Last Fish by Rose George looks good. This one is about the collapse of fisheries, I believe. It might be nonfiction. It might be a novel, though, about collapse of fisheries. But it only just archives tomorrow. If it sounds good, let me pull this up, because it archives tomorrow. You have time. Yeah. Every Last Fish, a deep dive into everything they do for us and what we do to them, by Rose George. So if you are interested in the collapse of fisheries, that is a nonfiction that archives tomorrow. You can still request it. You might get it. And then you do have 52 days after when you open it. So if you just go into the reader and open it or download it, then you have 52 days before the link stops working. And then there's still ways to access it if you use the reader, probably. And if you download it, you don't even have to worry about that. You just use it on your Kindle. So that one looks really good. I got The Secret Sharers by Qiu Xiaolong, which is, I think, a crime novel. I'm pretty sure it's part of a series. I Will Live by Lala Gül. I don't remember if she's Turkish, but she might be, or they might be. Again, world literature might be nominated for stuff. Tangerine is a blue cover, more than 50% blue. Let's see, A Stranger Comes to Town by Lynn Sharon Schwartz, archives tomorrow. Let's see, some more that are not archived yet. Belgrave Road by Manish Chauhan. Kind of thrillerish, if I remember correctly. Then we got Alice by Judith Herman. Evil Bones by Kathy Reichs. I'm looking forward to that one, with a blue cover. It archives in the middle of November, so you have some time on that one. The Age of Calamities by Sina Ahmad. World literature, I think, by a woman. Might be nominated for things. The Cormorant Hunt by Michael Idov. It has the word cormorant in the title. That is literally why I picked this novel, because it says cormorant in the title. Sometimes the reason we pick books is pretty basic. Imposter Syndrome by Andrew Mayne. I think I have Andrew Mayne books at the bookstore. So it's an author I recognize the name of, and it sounded interesting. I'm going to try to not know more than that until I read it. Evelyn in Transit by David Gutterson. Definitely an author that might be nominated for things. And the cover is blue. The Shape of Wonder, I've already listed off as being nonfiction, I think. Did I? The Shape of Wonder by Alan Lightman and Martin Rees. That one just archived 2 weeks ago. No One Would Do What the Lamberts Have Done by Sophie Hannah. I've read 1 or 2 of hers, and I like her writing. I'm not really a women's lit sort of gal, so some of her books look a little intimidating. But this one comes out in January. It archives in January, so I have some time. Number 10 Doyers Street looks interesting by Rada Vatsal. Out of Gaza by Katarina Galor is half blue, little over half. All That We See or Seem by Ken Liu is another one's world literature. It may be crime novel. I lean crime, so it could be. The Ice Palace, I need to review. I was just saying this week, I have, reviewed everything. I don't remember if I did that one. I might have. I'm looking at the list, so I might have, and it's just still on the list. I do have The Birds by Tarjei Vesas, which is actually on the Boxall list. I did not realize that. It's a new translation and a new edition of a book that's on the Boxall 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list. So knowing that, I'm definitely bumping that up the queue to try and finish it next month, because that's fun. Both of those archived in September, so they're not really requestable anymore. Hope and Destiny by Nicholas Not Okdag. This one is, I think, part of the same murder mystery series that I read another one from. So it would be historical fiction set in the early days of the colonies that became the United States. But it may be a different series. I don't know what else this author writes. I will find out when I read it. See if there's any other exciting ones in this list that I've not archived yet. Children of the Savage City looked good, by Elizabeth Hyder. Don't remember what it's about, but it looked good. One Hand Clapping by Nikolai Kukushkin, archived 2 days ago. So that one's one I'm going to try and finish soon. Here's the Candace Robb book, A Lion's Ransom. I've been reading Candace Robb to prepare for this arc so that I can read it. I don't think I need to worry about reading them in order too badly, because they do seem kind of episodic. So I'm just going to go for it when I finish the ones I've got. But I am going to be reading a few physical books to get ready for that one. Nothing Grows by Moonlight by Torborg Nedras. Or Nedreas? Nedreas, probably. Another international writer. I want to know where Torborg Nedreas comes from. Let's pull this one up and see where this is coming from. Norway. First published in Norway in 1947. So, new translation, new edition. Very exciting. And then we've got In the Time of Five Pumpkins. This is one I've talked about a little bit. The arc that I knew that I was going to have to read other books before I could get to it. And I got it anyway, and now I've been quickly reading the rest of the series to get up to it. And actually, I am working on reading book 20 right now. This is the number one Ladies Detective Agency series by Alexander McCall Smith. I got the arc for the new one, In the Time of Five Pumpkins, waiting in my queue. I just need to get all the way up to book 26, which is what that one is. I was on book 11 when I got approved for it. So, yeah, I will get there. Do Aliens Speak Physics is a blue cover, if that makes it more attractive to you. Desperate Spies looks good. That one archives in November. Let's see if this is... Yeah, it's a Secret Lives mystery. It's a murder mystery. Foul Play. Foul, F-O-W-L, Play. Probably a crime novel by Tamar Myers. Also archives in early November. Queen Esther. This one's one if you like literary fiction. You should be applying for it. It is by John Irving. Comes out in November. It archives in December. So you have some time to request it. And then the rest of those may or may not be any good. We'll find out. So I will leave that there. So you got a kind of three-fer. You got one-word titles. You got blue covers, and nonfiction all in one video. So very exciting. And I will put the names of the books and the authors in the description eventually for all the ones that I mentioned. Or if I don't get to it before you want to know what that book was, ask me and I'll tell you what it is. I will be in sprints in at least the comments a lot. And possibly you'll be on screen as much as I can as well. I had a weird thing with StreamYard this last week trying to be on with Coda that I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm not going to guarantee that my computer likes me yet. And I'm going to try a few things because I did intend to be on screen with people. So you'll see me around one way or the other, probably all month. Sprint Train starts tomorrow and runs through the end of November. 24/7, every day of the week. There will be sprints for NetGalley November. It will be very exciting. So you can always ask me, hey, what was that book that you talked about? And, give me a little context and I'll look it up for you and let you know. And yeah, if there's other categories of books that you are interested in, I might have ideas. I don't read romance. I categorically do not read romance. I've read a couple romance books. I read romantic comedy because somebody that I wouldn't have expected to like it liked it. And I thought, oh, maybe it's pretty good. And it was good. It's based around Saturday Night Live, a fiction version of Saturday Night Live, which I grew up on. So I appreciated it for that. And the romance wasn't too in your face. So that was okay. And it wasn't a stupid romance. Like, the couple actually kind of made sense, unlike some that I've suffered through. But yeah, so if it's a romance book and it's not literary fiction, probably I'm not the person to ask. There are folks like Brooklyn that read romance, and other people that read romance. She's just the one off the top of my head. I think Sarah reads a lot of romance. But yeah, we have a lot of people that is their genre. I'm not it. I'm definitely not. And I don't go for religious stuff, religious fiction or nonfiction, unless it's more like philosophy. If it gets into theosophy, where it's more religion-based, then I'm not into it. So if those are what you're looking for, I can't help you. For a lot of the rest of it, though, I read a ton of books. Yeah. History especially, and literary fiction, and crime fiction, and a bit of everything else whenever it looks good. Or, if it has words like cormorant in the title. You never know. And I read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. So, yeah. So I will see you guys in NetGalley November. There may be more of these list videos where I tell you all about my books. And I'm still planning on doing a physical TBR video that looks at some physical books I have that connect to arcs, because I definitely do that. I have several that I read the arc and now I have more books by them. Or I know I have the arc, so I also got another book by them, that kind of thing. Like I have a couple Gutterson books that I got from the Bag of Books sale because I knew that I had the Gutterson arc by then. So I want to do a TBR video that shows those, because those are kind of, if I get tired of screen reading, I can read them kind of thing. They're not the point of my November reading, but I would like to get to some. And I will be doing some audiobooks from the library, so those are also on my TBR. I can't crochet without something either being on the screen or audio, so I'm hoping between the NetGalley arcs on my screen and the audiobooks, I will finish a lot of hats. So that's the plan. And I will catch you guys in my next video, or somewhere on Sprints or on Discord, or somewhere. Happy reading, and let me know if you have or have read or want to buddy read any of the books that I've talked about so far today. Talk to you later, guys.